If you've got to this video, well done. That means you've been through the entire design process. You've thought about your research question. You've thought about your method. You've thought about your sample. You've thought about everything that you're going to be doing through this project. The final thing to do is a quick check of risk. I want to get you just thinking right at the end now how you are going to control for any kind of risks during your study. That means thinking about how you will protect your participants. If you are asking questions that are of a sensitive nature, how are you going to make sure that they're safe? I want you to think of the worst case scenarios, every single worst case scenario. If you're asking questions like from, I don't know, a depression inventory, what are you going to do if your participants report being highly depressed? What if your participants report suicidal thoughts? Are you going to intervene? How are you going to intervene? How are you going to keep them safe? What if you're doing an interview and your participant becomes aggressive or hostile or distressed? What if they have a heart attack in the middle of your intervention? What are you going to do in all of these potential situations? You're going to be gathering data. How are you going to keep that data safe? Where are you going to store it? Where is it going to sit? Also, what about your findings? Could those findings be used in an inappropriate way? Could what you find actually be used by a tabloid newspaper, slightly misrepresented, but essentially what you found, but in a way that implies something that's really dodgy? Could it? I want you to think really carefully about your entire project, and I want you to imagine worst case scenarios for absolutely everything. And every worst case scenario, write it down and then tell me what you're going to do to make sure either it doesn't happen or if it does happen, that you can control the situation. That's what you need to consider. And if you find a worst case scenario that you cannot possibly either stop or mitigate, you need to think carefully about whether you can even do this study. That might take you all the way back to the very first video and start this whole process again. But unfortunately, if you don't, the ethics panel will. So you need to really think about, have I got my head around this study in all of its risk factor? Is there any potential risk? Are there risks to the participants because I'm asking them really sensitive things? I'm asking them about things that could be harmful to them. I'm asking them about really personal practices. I'm giving them a diagnostic measure. As a rule, we don't really like using those on participants. Things like the core OB, don't recommend it at all, because what are you going to do if you find that you've got a participant who is clinically diagnosable from that measure, who is potentially at risk from that measure? How are you going to intervene? These are particularly problematic if you're in contact with the participant. So if it's an anonymous questionnaire, maybe that would be okay. But if it's actually you in contact with a participant, how are you going to now intervene? What are you going to do? So you need to think about all of those risk factors and really consider, really catastrophize worst case scenarios, and then how you manage it, how you mitigate it. And if you have any concerns, go and talk to your tutor. Make sure that you have a project that you have considered all of the ethical potential issues, so that you know that when it goes forward to the panel, that it has been thoroughly analysed, dissected, thought over, considered, and it will hopefully get a favourable outcome. Once you've done that, congratulations, you've got a project. You have essentially gone through every step you needed to end up with a project that hopefully is going to give you an excellent piece of research. Ideally, something that will have a genuine impact on the field, as well as getting you an excellent grade. So good luck with your project, and congratulations on getting it designed. Well done.